Revenge films.
My name is Anna. I live together with my husband, Nelson. I'm in my 25th year of marriage with my husband, and recently our son Michael graduated from college and moved out to start living alone. Until now, I have been working full-time for my son throughout his education, while also raising him at home. On one hand, I was really happy that he was going to be independent, but on the other hand, part of me was really sad about it all as well. I was just starting to think about how to live life with my husband in these later years of our lives, thinking of how we were going to save money for our retirement. However, when my husband came home from the business trip one day, he suddenly said the most unimaginable words out of his mouth. "Welcome home! Dinner is ready!"
There's something I want to talk to you about.
Talk to me about? What is it?
I want you to divorce me.
I was shocked that I dropped the bowl that was in my hand and it shattered on the ground. What? Where is this coming from? Please spare me any jokes.
No, I'm being serious.
But why? What's the reason?
I fell out of love with you a long time ago, and I want to live my life in love.
I was so taken aback that I stood there in disbelief, period.
If you don't want to, then I'll pay you money. I'll give you $20,000 if you'll divorce me.
Does that mean that you are cheating on me? This isn't a problem about money, so I can't just take the decision right now.
Well, I'm not going to give up until you accept it.
This declaration of a divorce was so sudden from my husband that it took some time for me to wrap my head around it. Even though we had been living together all this time, I never had dreamt that my husband might be cheating on me. I knew that he had a job and a lot of frequent business trips, and even if he had to stay overnight, I never suspected him of anything and instead rooted for him, and I felt really ashamed of myself. I had no idea when my husband started cheating on me or when he started considering a divorce. There were so many things that I could endlessly think about that I thought I might go crazy. After I thought about it for a few days, I was finally able to regain my composure, and I decided to go to a free consultation at a law firm. After telling the lawyer about my situation, he gave me the following advice. First, I needed my husband to acknowledge the affair, in order to make his mistress pay the settlement fee as well. It was necessary to find out who his affair partner was. I didn't even know where to start to find out who he was cheating on me with, but since my husband wasn't shy about acknowledging his affair, and was instead getting carried away and too excited about his mistress, I didn't think it would be too hard to confront him about it. The next day, as soon as my husband came home from work, he once again started the conversation about the divorce.
Please, I'll give you $30,000, so divorce me.
Wait a minute, please. I can't do this so suddenly. Because I didn't have everything lined up to prepare for the divorce, I tried to brush him off. Nelson didn't seem happy about that, so he seemed to retreat for the time being. However, on the next day, he came back saying,
Well then, how about $40,000?
And I was starting to get irritated by his persistence. I firmly said once again that I can't decide immediately. For some reason this time, my husband raised his voice at me.
Why won't you divorce me? I'm sick and tired of living with an old hag like you. I've had enough of it. Do you think there's any guy in this world who wouldn't be drawn to a 25-year-old girl after living with an old woman for so long?
An old woman? And also, are you telling me that you laid hands on a 25-year-old woman?
She's the one that made the first move. Don't get it twisted.
I don't care who made the first move. It's not my business. Not only did he cheat on me and suddenly try to bribe me into an affair, he was now yelling at me, calling me an old woman and an old hag. And in an instant, I felt the remaining love I had for my husband disappear. With the divorce, it was clear that my husband was having an affair, so I was considering collecting the settlement fee from both Nelson and his mistress. At the same time, I didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer, so it made me think hard about what to do. A few days later, my husband came home, but this time with his mistress by his side. It was clear from just one glance that his mistress was many generations younger than him, and she gave off a very young and flashy impression. Two of them stood side by side as they shoved the divorce papers in my face.
Come on, Anna, divorce me! How about $50,000?
He started begging me. At that moment, I suddenly heard the front door and my son had to come back home. When he found out the situation, Michael was furious with his father.
Dad? What the hell is going on here? Michael? What are you doing here? I finished work early today, so I thought about coming back to see you guys. Now explain yourself, Dad. What is this?
When my son found out the situation, he threw his father and his mistress from the house. There was so much commotion, and after all that, I must have been overwhelmed from exhaustion and stress that I crumbled to the ground. My son seemed really worried as he asked me what exactly happened. When I told him everything, Michael was completely furious at his selfish father. And then he introduced me to his friend that was a lawyer, and I decided, with Michael's help, that I would sue my husband and his mistress for a settlement fee. I was finally prepared for the divorce, and by the time my emotional preparations for the divorce was also solidified, all that was left to do was to have the final confrontation with my husband. At that time, on a day off work, Nelson showed up at my house with his mistress, which I thought was perfect timing. And this time, I opened up the conversation about the divorce. This was perfect. It was actually something I wanted to talk to you about.
You're just going to say that you're not going to divorce me, aren't you?
What?
I'll give you 100,000, so divorce me!
Okay, sure. When I answered that so easily, the two of them froze and went silent, and this time, I turned to his mistress and opened my mouth again. I will also be collecting a settlement fee from you. From now on, we will be speaking through my lawyer, so don't come back here ever again.
What, a settlement fee? We said that you'll pay you $100,000, so that should be enough to satisfy you, isn't it?
That's just what my husband is saying on his own, isn't it? You need to take responsibility for your part in this as well, so you better be ready.
No way!
There must be something wrong with you to try to collect a settlement fee from a girl this young! Do you not have any shame? Are you not embarrassed of yourself?
She may be young, but she's already over the age of 18, isn't she? She's a grown adult.
That might be true, but...
In that case, then I will be collecting a proper settlement fee from her. The two of them were flustered, but I kicked them out of the house and I immediately changed the locks on the house so that they would never be able to come back again. After that, the divorce went through easily, and I was able to receive not only the settlement fee, but also the $100,000 he had promised. I had already paid off the mortgage on the house a long time ago, so I was able to live as I wanted by myself at the house. As for my husband, he had handed over his full savings to me with the divorce. He lost all of his assets and he rolled into his mistress's house, but because she also had to pay a settlement fee, neither of them had any money to spare and they were both stuck constantly fighting with each other. Nelson's mistress had only reproached him in the first place because she was after his assets. As soon as she found out that after paying me the $100,000, he had reached the bottom of his assets, she didn't need my husband anymore. Immediately after they began living together, the two of them fell apart. But one day, my husband suddenly showed up at my door in the middle of the night and incessantly rang the doorbell. I didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so I reluctantly opened the front door, and standing there was Nelson looking like he aged years over the course of a few weeks. As soon as he saw my face, he put on a serious expression and tried to get back together with me.
I finally realized, Anna. I know now that the only person I truly love is you, and you only, Anna!
Of course, there's no way I was going to accept such a selfish story, and I very quickly rejected him. You're the one that betrayed me and pushed the divorce papers in my face, right? There is no chance in hell that I would ever go back together with you, so don't come back here ever again. After I said that, I pushed him out the front door, and I locked the door. Even though it was the middle of the night, my ex-husband raised his voice and yelled from outside.
Hey, are you planning on leaving me out here on the street? We were husband and wife who were together for so many years, aren't we?
And you were the one that betrayed your wife that you were with for so many years, aren't you? Stop raising your voice in the middle of the night like that. You're gonna disturb the neighbors.
That doesn't matter! Just open the door! This is the only place I have to come home to anymore!
But you're the one that walked out the door, aren't you? Seriously, leave already and stop raising your voice.
Shut up! If you don't want me to raise my voice, then let me inside!
But then my ex-husband started banging on the front door. I got scared and contacted my son for help. He immediately called the police and Nelson was arrested by them a few minutes later. My ex-husband was yelled at by the police, and after he was released, he looked for a place to live and moved into a rundown apartment. Nelson was also yelled at by his son after being arrested by the police, and he even said that he was going to cut off all ties with his father. Nelson was left alone. Because Nelson had already used up all his savings for his retirement, he was left having to work multiple part-time jobs while living a sad, lonely life by himself. Apparently, his mistress had already quit her job because she was intending on marrying Nelson, and because she needed to pay the settlement fee, she tried to look for another job, but she wasn't able to get one. In the end, I heard that she was having to work as an escort in order to make ends meet. Even though she borrowed money from her parents in order to pay the settlement fee, she wasn't able to make enough for living expenses and wasn't able to pay them back. The mistress was disowned by her parents, and after that, I heard that she was stuck living a very poor life. As for me, my son was regularly coming home to check on me and spend time with me, so I never felt lonely and have been able to live a relaxing life. I have more than enough in my account to have a great retirement, and I'd like to live my life freely as I want from now on.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.